Strong Humans, how's it going? Okay, there's some things I want to share with you today, and I'm going to try to keep this video less than 20 minutes. But the first thing I want to say is I hope you guys are doing okay. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on. I know this community is worldwide, so some of you don't even know what the heck's going on in the U.S. But there's just some heavy stuff going on social media, some wild videos that are being shared, and I hope that you guys are taking care of your mental health as much as you're taking care of your physical health. And because honestly, I think they're equally as important. Your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, I believe all of these things feed into each other. If you're not feeling good up here, it reflects itself in the way that your body feels and the way that you move through space. If you're not feeling good in here, in the body, it has a reflection on the way your mind works. So that's why I'm guarding my inputs. I'm not watching a lot of stuff on the internet right now. I just want to share some ideas with you that are going to help you become a stronger human. Okay, so with that being said, with the idea of the mental health and your mental health and being as important as your physical health and even your spiritual health, when it comes to movement, a question that I get a lot, and it's actually a very good question, is when somebody sees me swinging this rope around, the question I get is, what's that help with? What muscle is that working? Because, when it comes to your health and fitness and the things that we've been seeing for so long, when it comes to developing a healthier body, a stronger body, the things that we see are typically reflection of the bicep curl, the shoulder press, the squat, the lunge, right? We can clearly see that the bicep curl is working the biceps, the shoulder press is working the shoulder, the squat is working the quads, glutes, hamstrings, and the lunge, it's working, well, a lot of things, but your legs a lot, right? You can clearly see the muscles and the structures that are being stressed and built. But when you see a club and you see somebody rotating with a club, you don't necessarily know that's working. And the reason why you don't know what that's working is because when moving through space with a club, when moving through space with a rope, when doing a flow with a kettlebell, right? You don't necessarily have any, you don't necessarily have any hard muscular contractions happening. And then the question then asks, what are you working when you do that? Why is that beneficial for you? So going back to this idea of the mental being as important as your physical health. When it comes to these different types of implements, I think I made a video talking about these flow capacities. They stress your muscles somewhat, but the main thing that they're stressing is the movement chain of your whole body. They are, for example, when I have this club in hand, right? There's not one thing or one muscle that's working here. And actually, the funny thing is, my muscles are relaxed. It's my body that is being pulled apart by the weight at this end. It's kind of pulling at my structure, and I'm stabilizing my structure dynamically without, again, flexing a single muscle. Everything is working to keep this swinging, right? With my bones, some people will say fascia. But the thing that I've learned is that working the ability of my body to leverage tools, right? To swing tools, to receive and stop force, this movement capacity is just as important as the lifting capacity that so many people focus on when they think about their physical health. And it's not a surprise that lifting is the thing that most people, especially in Western culture, have brought to the forefront of physical resilience. Because like you look in the modern gym, you see racks of dumbbells, lots of cable machines, bench presses, squats, calisthenic tools, and I'm not saying these things aren't important. But what I'm saying is that these capacities have equal levels of importance. There's a reason why when somebody begins the practice of rope flow, initially a lot of people say, oh, my wrists get really tired, because they focus on swinging the rope forcefully. Instead of letting the body, notice how my body is moving and rotating and I'm leveraging this rope, they focus on swinging the rope. Notice how my arms are doing more, my wrists are doing more. But here, I could roll the rope like this forever because my bones are swinging and leveraging this tool through space, right? Woo, missed it. My whole body is doing that. So I can do that for a long time. And the cool thing is, just like the clubs and the bells, since the rope is slightly pulling out my structure, I finish up, I put this thing down, my body feels better than before. I feel loose, I feel springy, and I can move into anything. My body feels better, okay? And coming from a martial arts background, you know, I'm very happy that I started jiu-jitsu 10 years ago, because if I didn't start jiu-jitsu 10 years ago and I continued to stay focused on the, I'm gonna call it the Western form of fitness, right? There's a reason why I'm calling it the Western form of fitness. I know people lift weights all over the world, but I'll get into the Western idea. But the reason why was because I was doing powerlifting and bodybuilding, right? And I started lifting at 13 years old, but I saw so much of fitness as building muscle, building tissue, and that's what everybody put at the pedestal, right? And when I moved into jiu-jitsu and people were beating me up easily, me being 265 pounds at the time, I realized that even though I was so physically strong, yeah, jiu-jitsu had technique, but there were other things that were happening in jiu-jitsu. Not just better technique, but an understanding of movement, being able to move dynamically and fluidly, being able to breathe continuously while fighting another human being, right? These things are all happening. And over time, as I learned more about physical fitness, I learned that there were certain practices that were done in other parts of the world that were given massive amounts of importance when it came to strength training. You know, I mentioned in that video about flow training, how there's like Persian clubs and meals, but in India, they also had gadas and Indian clubs. And in Asia, they have different tools like the stone lock, and they use weapons and all these things that require you to move well, like staffs. Like these things require you to move well, rotate well, while manipulating a tool. All pretty much having that tool be an extension of your body's movement, okay? Now, think about that. The tool is an extension of the way your body moves. When we have this rope, initially, again, many people are here and the rope might be whacking you a lot. But over time, you, as the individual, you learn how to rotate. And even though the rope may still sometimes hit you, that hitting is an adjustment for your rotation. The rope, oh, we're gonna get that. We're gonna get that. I keep missing that. But the rope is an extension of your body's rotation, right? It's an extension of what your body can do, right? I'm not swinging the rope. The rope is a reflection of my rotation. Actually, both are happening. I'm swinging and it's reflecting me, okay? Both of these things are important. So the reason why I want you to understand that is because just like right now in this country, how teams are being set. I see so many posts of people saying they started a war when conservatives are talking about people on the left, and some people on the left are praising certain things happening. There are just these massive divides. In fitness, there's also these weird divides for weird reasons. I see people talking about, oh, you know, these swing implements, it's just a gimmick, it does nothing, don't waste your time with it. See guys like Mike Isertel and some of these people just talking about these things. And then you see a guy like Mike and he can't broad jump 5 feet, right? The guy cannot create force and jump through space, right? He can't, because he can't move. Because he's been focusing, even though he's a jiu-jitsu black belt, he's been focusing so much on the structure and the lifting that his body is so stuck. And if he were someone who started working more on the way his body moves, he'd probably be more complete. And then there are people on the other end of things. There are people who maybe do a lot of the ropes and the clubs and the maces who would benefit from doing more movements that isolated and built specific tissues, just to build a level of tendon resilience, muscle resilience. I'm not saying you need to become big, but resilience in these places will help, especially as you get older. People tend to lose muscle as they age. You want to fight against that, right? There's a yin and a yang to these things. They are both equally important. And when I make, I've made a lot of courses in here, and I'm gonna continue adding more. I want you to understand that these, not one is more important than the other. That's why I love seeing so many of you in here. Wendy, who's been on her bone building challenge, and Hannah, who's constantly crushing it. She runs and she lifts. Double R, Ricky, there's so many people in here. Steve, and like Angela, so many of you guys are developing these different skills and building out your personal movement practice. But you are doing all of these things. And that's beautiful. And I want to mention this because I think some people join this community and they're like, oh my gosh, where's the program? How do I start the program? Or what program should I do? I have Untapped in here, which is a kind of a lifting focused program and it's set up in a way that you'll have specific reps and sets and days and stuff. But that's specifically meant for tissue resilience and range of motion and strength and range of motion, etc. Right? The cool thing is that you don't have to do that 7 days a week. You don't have to do it 5 days a week, 4 days a week. You could do it 1 or 2 days a week. Because you got to remember, these capacities, the capacity of building resilience in your tendons, muscles, and ligaments through lifting, along with building your movement resilience, the way your body feels and moves through space with tools like the ropes, clubs, and the bell, right? And even the sandbag, right? The bell and the sandbag are kind of in between, so is the club, but these things are going to be done by you for the rest of your life. That's the ideal. We're not going to just stop our movement practices at a certain point. We do these things because they help our body feel better. And if you think about that idea, if you think about the idea of, I don't have to do this at this time every single week, like you get in some level of isolating the tissue during a week, you do some, you get some level of moving, right, with an implement like a club, get some level of more tissue work, maybe with the sandbag, doing squats and presses. You could do calisthenic work, right, to work your tissues again, right? It doesn't need to be that you have to lift 5 days a week and do this. Like, that's also one of the reasons why I like the rope, because the rope is something you can get in. I mean, what other implement can you get in hundreds of repetitions of rotation with your wrist? You can get full rotation of your shoulder. You can get in rotation of the spine. The weight shift and the rotation on both sides of the body symmetrically. So now your left side is as good as your right side. And after you put it down, you don't feel super beat up, but you just feel better, right? So with that being said, that's what I want you guys to understand. These things are equally as important. I mean, again, that's why I'm so blessed that I've been able to have my learning has been quite unconventional, because I've been able to talk to so many people who are on different sides of the aisle when it comes to health and fitness, who believe this is the way you need to lift, this is the way you need to build strength. Like a Ripito, oh my gosh, Mark Ripito's, he's great, but he's also so stuck in what he's done. But I've been able to glean the things that are important from both sides. That's why I'm not in one party or the other. I don't feel like you have to do it this way and you have to do this all the time, or you have to use my specific system. No, all these other countries have different movement practices that deal with weapons, rotation, etc. And then here in the West, we have this big importance on lifting and the structure. America. But for me, there is strength in all of it. And for me, there is equal importance in all of these capacities. Because in my martial art, right, my martial art of jiu-jitsu, commonplace is athletes are in pain. Athletes have joint pain. Athletes have back pain. Just part of the process if you're going to do that martial art for most people. But I'm in no pain at all. Like literally no pain at all. I used to be, but as I developed different skills, my body now feels better than ever, and it's continuing to get better. It's continuing to get stronger, right? So I just want to share that with you. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in one system, in one belief system in terms of fitness or in terms of what you should be doing. Understand that you can build all these capacities over time. I'm going to be giving you guys more conceptual ways to think about building out your personal practice. And it's one of the reasons why I love the monthly challenges, because you guys many people in here are sharing what they're doing each day, which is giving other people ideas on what they could be doing in their practice and what's going to be able to help them out, right? I'm so happy that like these ideas of programming are somewhat dying out. We have to do 3 days or 4 days of this, or you have to do 5 days of this lifting thing. Like, no, unless you're someone who's doing Olympic lifting, bodybuilding, or powerlifting as a sport, you don't need to do that. You don't need to lift with that level of rigidity. Okay, you could have much more freedom with how you set up your practice. Because again, we're going to be doing this forever. Until the day we die, we're going to be doing something that works on our physical health, because that will help our mental health, right? Anyway, I don't want to ramble on for too long. I wanted to share that with you. Oh, last thing I want to share with you. I hope you guys are starting to do some rucking, because it's another way where you can add weight to your walk. Invaluable. Valerie, crushing it when it comes to rucking, and many other people are starting to ruck too. But if you take your ropes on your walk, and I have a video that's coming out after the sunlight video. There's a video that's going to be talking about like improving your walk and making your walk more of something that builds your fitness. But if you take your rope, first off, we know how this underhand pattern is a mirror of the walk. So why many people who have started rope flow in this community have noticed that, wow, I'm starting to walk with a little bit more swag. But if you take your rope and you put it behind you like this, you guys remember the spinal engine video? Or there's a video I made where I talked about the spinal engine, and I mentioned this guy who had no arms and no legs, and he was walking through space, and you notice how his spine was rotating more, right? Because this head over foot action that happens, okay? So when we think about that, this is why on walks, I'll put the rope behind me like this, and I'll just like take the slack out of it. I'm not really pulling on it, I'm just letting my arms hang there. And since my arms aren't working, my spine ends up having to do more. So I naturally get into even more of a head over foot action if I walk with the rope behind me like this, because my arms aren't being used. So it's another way just to improve your gait with the rope while you're on a walk. You can even do this if you have a rucksack on. I've been enjoying that a lot. So just want to share these ideas with you. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. I love seeing all you guys are continuing to crush this challenge. So keep going. Appreciate all of you guys. And yeah, let's keep crushing. Let's keep becoming stronger humans. And shoot, I'll give away three. I want to give away 3 more gift cards, you know, or actually let's give away 4 more $25 gift cards. So anyone who shares some idea here or just interacts here, I'll pick out 4 names. I'll give out 4 $25 gift cards to the Stronger Humans store, okay? So anyway, hope you guys have a good day. Whew, that was different. And let's keep it moving.